Well, good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino beer review. Now, a friend of mine from work went to Montreal recently. Well, not Montreal, but Quebec. She hit up Quebec City and she hit up Sherbrooke. And she asked me for a list of beers to pick up for me to review. And I gave her a list of beers. Now, Sherbrooke is a small spot in Quebec. Excuse me. She couldn't find any of the beers I was looking for. So she sent me a link to the Saks that was near her, which is the Quebec version of the LCBO. And I gave her a list back of the beers from that Saks that I had not had. And this came in one of those that was well, anyone that watches Dennis LD would have seen him review some of these beers, because this was from the half meter of beer kit, which is 8 different beers. I'd had one of them in the past, so I was getting 7 beers I hadn't reviewed before, and I was okay with that. Now, the one I had had in the past I hated. I gotta find where I put it, because I'm gonna try it again. I don't know how old the bottle was that I had. And yeah, anyway, this is an Abbey beer from Belgium. It is from Floreffe. I've had Floreffe Triple. Hated it. Hated Floreffe Triple. Me and Ali Alejandro did Floreffe Triple, and neither of us liked it. But this is Floreffe Blonde. And really, I can't think of many blonde Belgian ales that I have hated. There's a couple I'm not too fond of, but for the most part, most of them are fairly easy drinking, easy to approach beers. So I'm excited to try this one. This one is 6.3% alcohol by volume. It's in the range. I mean, most blondes that you're going to find from that area are in the 5.4 to 6.5 range. So, I mean, it's right up near the top, which could be good, could be bad. I'm going to try and carefully take this cap off, because I don't have it on the fridge. And I don't have my openers that are good for this. So there we go. We took it off very gently. Looks really nice. The cap is just green, like the label, with an F. So that's going to go on the fridge. I'll put it right there for now. Floreffe Blonde Abbey Ale. Let's look in here. Is there any sediment? It doesn't look like it. Alrighty. Get up our Stella Artois goblet. A little bit of water in there still from when I rinsed it. Let's pour it out. Oh, that actually looks like I'm pouring a Stella Artois. Very, very, very pale blonde. It is what it is. I mean, it just hit the line. It just hit the line, so they gave you the right amount of beer. Oh yeah, they gave you the right amount of beer. When the head fades, it'll be just slightly over that line, which is actually really nice, because this is actually a 330 milliliter bottle, which is exactly where that line is. So when I have just a touch over it, it means that they filled it just a touch more, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, look at that color. That is, for me, that's not an appealing color, but it is what I knew beer to be for a very long portion of my life. So I mean, it's not like it's an offensive color, it's not like it turns me away, but it just reminds me of that dehydrated pea color. Beautiful, beautiful white head was there. And I know that crystal white head isn't Snow White head isn't always the way to go. For me, at least, to my heart, I want a darker head, but a nice fluffy white head is still nice. It's a nice looking beer, nice big bubbles on that head. Let's smell it. It smells like a sweeter version of an adjunct lager. It smells almost like an ice lager. Looking at a very sweet scent with a little bit of a pungent backbone. The pungent backbone is the hops on this. Not anything spectacular, just because all you're smelling on the forefront is sweet, and I mean like fake sweet almost. The hops do come off almost pungent, even though they're almost non-existent as well. They're just overpowering the sweetness because of the fact that there's nothing on the forefront. Yeah, it smells like a macro. What's it taste like? Let's find out. If it tastes like a macro, that's when I'm going to be disappointed because of the price tag on this. Cheers, guys. It tastes kind of like Stella. It tastes like a mixture of Stella and Pilsner Urquell, really. You get that very watery malt forefront that you get from a lot of European macro lagers. You're not getting the green bottle funk. You're not getting that that sulfuric funk. I'm okay with that. But that pale European lager forefront, just slight sweetness with a little bit of blandness, fades to the middle to almost nothing, and then finishes with a dirty bitterness, a dirty hoppy bitterness, grassy even, which is where the Pilsner Urquell comes in. It comes off, it finishes off like there's noble hops in it. I don't think there is. I don't know if the bottle says anything in it. The bottle's all in French. I know enough French to get by. I don't know enough French to read an entire thing like this big and understand it all, word for word. I could figure it out, but no. It tastes like there's noble hops in it. That's what it's finishing with. Just this dirty, grassy bitterness on the background. So yeah, Floreffe Blonde reminds me of, well, Floreffe Pilsner even. Not that they have one, but I'm just saying it's like a Floreffe Pilsner. It's crisp. It's wet. Carbonation is high. It attacks your tongue. Little tiny bubbles just everywhere in your mouth. Ooh. There's a slight apple ester that comes out in the middle. I mean, you get your slight malty sweetness, and then it goes to nothing. But the more I drink it, the more that nothing goes into an apple ester that then floats down to the Pilsner-like finish. Not a bad beer. Not a good beer. Price point of this, why buy this when you can buy, if you want something that tastes like this, you can buy a steam whistle for this same area price, and it actually is a Pilsner that tastes like a Pilsner. Or you could buy Pilsner Urquell, which is kind of cheaper. Excuse me. Koenig Pilsner. Hell, you could buy Holsten. You could buy Holsten. It's cheaper than this. It kind of has the same taste as a Holsten Premium. You could buy Stella. You could buy. There's just so many things you could buy that taste the same that there's no real reason to buy Floreffe Blonde. Again, is it a bad beer? No, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. It's not a bad beer at all. I could drink it. I can get behind it. It's just, there's so many beers out there. There's so many beers in every style out there that you can't come onto the market and be the exact same thing as a more well-known beer for the same price or more as that well-known beer and still succeed. I don't know how much this costs in the US. If it's cheaper than Stella and everything else, this could be something to jump on. But I doubt that in the US it's cheaper than that because the big brands there are dirt cheap. There's nothing really... in Europe, I'm sure this is actually fairly cheap. And in Europe, if this was cheaper than, say, your Stella Artois or your Pilsner Urquell or your Koenig Pilsner or your Holsten Premium or any of the other beers that taste somewhat similar. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is better or worse than any of them because they're all... I mean, they're all toss-up grades at that point. I can't tell you for sure until I do a blind between them all which one I would pick over the other. But just tasting it right now, it tastes so similar. There are differences, but it tastes so similar that it's a toss-up grade. I mean, if this is a lot cheaper than all them, this is the way to go. If it's more expensive, you don't really need to go this way. If it's the same price, it's a toss-up, whatever you can find. It's not a bad beer. Thank you very much, Mel, for picking it up. I'm actually glad I got to try it. Floreffe Blonde, everybody. Floreffe Blonde in the Stella Artois glass. It chugs all right. All that matters, right? Bye, guys.